It's surprising that we tend to think of ourselves, especially our internals inside our bodies, uh, as a pretty much relatively smooth, flat surface. The texture of meat that we eat tells us that there is a relative smoothness to our stomach linings and intestines and things like that, and that's how we perceive ourselves. Uh, but look closely, and you will see that our bodies internally are constructed by deep crevices and niches and folds of millions and millions and millions and billions of strands of protein coming together, joined together, bound in tissues. And somehow, in this surface, are also present the creatures of our bodies. So we host trillions of bacterias, and so you can imagine them pretty much like the moles and the rats that you see around you, who are scurrying around and hiding in these corners and trying to keep themselves alive and not get eaten either by a hungry cat or a giant bat, for that matter. So inside our bodies is this vast ecosystem of uneven textured planetary scales environments which play host to billions and trillions of types of bacteria of multitude types, pretty much the same diversity that the planet has. And as you see that, you start realizing that your body is responding to essentially what it can host. So, if you're eating a lot of vegetarian food, so you've simply got more cows and elephants in your stomach that's able to digest that in terms of the bacteria that should be able to do that. So, but as the population of your elephants decrease, your ability to digest in your stomach the larger, stronger fiber, the kind that probably might come through with more natural eating and more vegetables and more greens and hard shoots and plants and leaves. And so as you go into that zone, and if you've been a carnivore, enjoyed your burgers, you've really got more tigers and dogs in your stomach in terms of the kind of bacteria that you have, and not as many elephants and rhinoceroses or other kind of bacteria equivalent to the kind of ones that you need to digest effectively the healthy eating that you're trying to adopt. So you're already built for failure, and it's going to cause you bloating, it's going to cause you discomfort, and eventually you will be forced to go back to the kind of food that you're accustomed to, simply because you have the ability to digest that, simply because that's the kind of diversity you've built. So a lot of things may have already gone extinct in you, right? So just the same way that we killed our dodos, uh, and now we want to revive them genetically and all of that. We've also effectively killed a lot of beneficial bacteria to us, which helped us digest complex proteins and absorb more minerals from more vegetable kind of foods. And as we shifted to centrally meat eating culture, we became accustomed to it in such a manner that now your templates, your genetical templates, your DNA doesn't really have the necessary information to be able to host, generate, and keep the kind of diversity that you would need to support your life, and hence life would get shortened. So, when you look at your bodies, look internally, look deep inside, and see this world in the same way, in the way that you see this painting, and you can see that in every dark corner and crevice, there exists the possibility of hidden life. And unless you allow all of that to prosper, unless you give it enough equal competence, you need both. You need the lion, you need the tiger, you need the horse, you need the rhinoceros, you need the elephant, you need everything that lives inside you today, because essentially that is what's keeping you alive. So, in the same way, the planet also needs to ensure uh, that extinctions stop. No creature should be put to peril and be extinguished by the foolishness, and especially the kind of foolishness that we see in the European world. The one that did away with the dodos because, well, they just had to eat and they had the knives and their ships could go to the islands where the bird survived and just wipe it out. Now, of course, now we learned, we're talking sustainability, we're talking planetary scale, re-engineering. We're already doing a lot of that. But it's still in the hands of people who essentially killed the dodo. So it's very difficult to continue to blindly adopt these principles, mostly as we call them as in modern day terms as a Western principle, though I don't see what makes them West and what makes us East. You walk far enough along the eastern side of the world, and you will eventually see that to your east appears what you call the West. So it's necessary to understand and change behavior at a very individual level, to recognize that one must learn to eat what's beneficial and not just be hooked on to consumption patterns that are detrimental in the long term. Because if you continue doing that, if you continue eliminating everything that's good for you inside of you, well, you're eventually gonna be a very short-lived race of people. You'll kind of die out. The ants are gonna come in and take care of whatever remains of you, and eventually, maybe a billion, 300 million, 400 million years later, something else will spark, and all the knowledge of creation and DNAs and RNAs that are there in the soil, buried as your ancestors, as you are, eventually something will come back and take that template and revive it. And fortunately, I think what nature does is it really takes the most recent template. So, whatever works for you, whatever sustains you longer than anything else of your kind, is the template that works, irrespective of whether it was good or bad by anybody's definition. So, yeah, think of yourselves, think of your bodies, and look carefully at who you want in your body. I certainly would love to have a few more elephants because those guys are really remarkable. And, well, evidently, in the world of animal headed gods, evidently the elephant head fits on a human body. So, yeah, keep them around. You never know when you need that big head and all the knowledge that comes with it, because, well, you're simply running out of space. And unless you can figure that out, you don't really have a chance to compute what the probabilities are to be able to decide the path your future needs to take. And as far as sustainability goes, I think the air's stuffier. You eventually are going to go towards an economy where people would have to buy their air, which basically means they'll have to spend millions and thousands on just being able to breathe. And those who can't pay really won't be able to breathe. So, if you can't buy your air purifier the same way that you buy a RO system for your water, and you can't afford to have bottled water, you're pretty much done. And there would be a time when the same thing's gonna happen to air, unless you look carefully at your bodies and see the damage that you're doing to yourself, and more importantly, that others are doing to you. And at some point of the time, you've gotta say, hey, I need my elephants. Can you please just shut off your engine and take your gas guzzling mobile somewhere else so that I can kind of peacefully drive by in my electric car and not be bothered about killing the poor guy that just wants to roam around in the forests and munch trees that need munching. And without that, the forest would die. And so, bring your elephants back.